As we head into 2020 and the new decade, significant uncertainty continues around Boeing's 737 MAX program. Much work remains to achieve return to service, and airline and lessor customers have limited guidance about when they will be able to take delivery of scheduled aircraft or return their stored aircraft to service. With that uncertainty in mind, we have even seen questions around the future of the MAX program itself. Most specifically, will Boeing be forced to cancel the program and instead launch a new replacement single-aisle program, the so-called FSA? Our answer to this is pretty clear on two counts. In the short term, we believe that Boeing has no choice other than to pursue the MAX recertification to completion and return the aircraft both to service and production. Bear in mind that as of today, Boeing have more than 400 MAXes which have been built and flown and which customers are expecting delivery of in the near future. We don't know the exact cost of manufacture for these aircraft, but if we assume $30 million on the basis that we believe the average selling price could be in the region of $50 million, then that equates to more than $12 billion of inventory cost that would have to be written off. Even if Boeing were able to recover some of that through scrap of the aircraft, there would still likely be in excess of $10 billion write-off required here. Then add the current backlog of 4,420 aircraft, which could conservatively be valued at some $220 billion in today's economic conditions, and which Boeing would also have to wipe off its backlog, and you have a significant cost of program cancellation which Boeing is unlikely to be able to bear. And then, of course, there would be the replacement program to consider. Even if Boeing were to launch a new FSA today, they would be unlikely to be able to deliver that aircraft before 2027 at the earliest. There is also the issue of technology readiness. What engine, materials, systems, manufacturing technologies, etc. will they have at sufficient maturity to launch, develop and deliver a low-risk new aircraft program which offers significant performance and economic efficiencies over MAX, A320neo, and most crucially any Airbus response? And at what cost, which would of course be additional to the write-offs I hypothesized earlier. The final piece in this equation is of course the customers. They had 380 plus aircraft in service at the time of grounding, which remain grounded today. They also had an expectation that they would have taken delivery of another 400 to 500 aircraft between March and December last year. Which means that as we open 2020, there are 800 to 900 single-aisle aircraft which were expected to be in service, but which are not. We conservatively estimate this to be worth around 3.6% of global airline capacity at the end of last year. So although IATA reported around 3.5% capacity growth in 2019, if MAX had been status quo, growth could easily have been closer to 7%, albeit probably a bit lower, as we may have seen some more retirements than we actually did see. Demand is certainly softening, and so this lower capacity is a positive for airlines in the short term, as it allows them to manage capacity and yields. But in the medium term, airlines will need these aircraft for growth and replacement, and there is no way that they can wait until 2027 for a replacement program. So we see strong arguments to support a hypothesis that Boeing must achieve a prompt return to service of the MAX. For sure, once that is achieved, they will turn their minds to a next generation single-aisle aircraft program to replace MAX. But we have always expected that aircraft in the 2030 plus timescale, and we think that remains likely for now. We also think that NMA is still potentially on the cards once MAX is returned to service, but that may end up being a different beast as a result of MAX. That is a question for another day.